Today, I would like to talk about the game Civilization, and more specifically, the game Civilization Part 4. I chose Civilization Part 4 because it's the most recent one I can get my hands on, to be honest. But Civilization Part 4 is unique, and I'll do a quick history and overview of the game. I remember years ago, this was many years ago actually, when Civilization Part 1 first came out, and I was sitting with a group of friends and they were talking about this game, and they were saying, oh, this game is so cool, this game is so great, this is wonderful, and they were talking about wars and doing this and doing that, and I was immediately pulled into it because I said, I want to play this. I want to know, what are you guys playing? And they told me Civilization, and I said, well, what is that? And they began to explain it to me, and as they explained it to me, I said, oh, that sounds pretty cool. So I went and purchased the game, because it sounded really great, and of course I didn't want to be left out. I guess that's the Jones effect. But I purchased the game, and I came home, I put it in my computer, loaded it, all that good stuff. And at the time, I was really big on graphics. I was really big on things like that. And so when I turned this game on for the first time and I'm looking at it, I said, this game looks like crap. But I quickly got over that once I started playing. And I realized that gaming is not all about graphics. As a lot of times with the Xboxes and the Nintendos, Sony, Nintendo, and those kind of guys, how they more so tailor toward the graphics. But anyway, back to Civilization. And so as I played this game, it starts off as an empty world, and pretty much the object of this game is to develop your own civilization. This game spurred off of different games like SimCity and The Sims and simulation type games. And with SimCity, as many people may know, SimCity, you basically start and you develop a city, and you develop the way the city functions and that kind of thing. Where Civilization, you develop a nation, a country, or a civilization as they may call it, within the scope of a world. And you're in competition with other civilizations, and I guess you can play it online. I've never done that, but pretty much you compete with other civilizations to reach certain goals. And the basic object is to have the most dominant civilization. There are many ways to achieve that, but for the sake of this, we're not going to really get into that at this time. But as I played this game, and this game is very addictive, and I asked myself, what is it that I like about this game? And then I say, well, what is it that others like about this game? And collectively, what do we like about this game? And I think what we like about this game and how this game functions in the scope of gaming altogether is that it's more than just a strategy game. It's very similar to real life. And I think when it comes to gaming, you have different types. You have different types of gamers. You have the gamer who likes the real life stuff, the stuff that reaches home, and then you have the gamer who want to play stuff that has nothing to do with how we function as human beings. And depending on what kind of gamer you is, depending on what kind of games you like. And for the people who like those games that are similar to real life and that will allow you to move into the fantasy world, this is an ideal game. I don't really think there are too many games that are exactly like real life, because I think the whole point of gaming, as covered in the lecture, is that gaming is simply about that. It's about playing. You play, and I think the idea that follows in these games is that we play and we are able to create a fantasy. And I think within this real world simulation, it kind of tailors to different personality traits. One of the things about human beings is that in general, we like to be in control, and we want to obtain control. Many times control without the responsibilities therein, but we want to obtain control. And civilization tailors to that because it gives you control to start a nation. Sometimes we may have arguments and feelings about politics, and this should be done and that should be done, but civilization gives you the option or the ability to take control of your own nation as to what should be done, what should not be done, what development should be made, what should not be made. I think another thing is, as human beings, we also like to create things and to see the finished product of what we have created. Briefly, for myself, I know as an undergrad, my minor was art, and I really took a liking to ceramics and photography and that kind of thing. But with ceramics really caught me off guard because I learned that I really like to create things. There was nothing better than taking a block of clay that came out of a box. We didn't make our own clay, we bought it. But a block of clay that came out of a box, and slicing it and, putting it through a roller or throwing it on a wheel and taking this mass of nothing and turning it into something artistic or something functional or whatever you want it to be. There was nothing greater than that. And when I think of that, I also think of civilization because, like I said in the beginning, civilization, you start off with an empty world. There's nothing there. There's just one worker, or he's a settler actually, and he walks around until you find the piece of land that you think is good enough for you to start your civilization. Another couple of personality traits that this game tailors to is the aggressive and the passive personality traits. As for me personally, I am not really an overly aggressive type person, and I know it's kind of odd because some of the work that I've done, but I'm not really an overly aggressive type person. So when I play this game, there are different things that go on in the game and the strategy of it. Like you have these random wars, and sometimes you have random peace where different nations are competing against one another. Just like in real life, different nations, wherever you are, you're sitting on different resources. And sometimes your resource that you have may be beneficial to another. So there are many ways to get that. You can go and ask for it nicely, or you can go and take it. And we know about going and taking things. So one of the things that I learned about myself through playing Civilization is that initially I started off as a very passive type. When another country would come to me and they would make demands and fierce demands, they say, give me this or give me that, I would give it to them, or I would let them borrow it just so I could keep peace in my land. I later found out that that's not really all that great of a thing, because the goal is to develop this civilization. And what happens is when you just give and give and give, you're giving from what you can be developing yourself. And so that's kind of a cool thing. But I learned as time went on I can still be passive, but to use a strategy in my passiveness. Because what I eventually began to do is I began to pick my battles. And like I said, this is very similar to real life. Whereas once I started developing, I would start off very passive, but I was passive with a plan. And my plan was to find out who it is that I can beat. So when someone came to me, I said, well, am I equipped enough to fight these people? If not, I'll be nice for now. I'll build my army up. I'll build my team up, and then I'll go get them. And that also goes into the whole part about another personality trait, about being a conquering people. We like to conquer things. We like to see things conquered. this is the very nature of competition, and this game tailors to exactly that, because this is like I said, this is a slow moving game. This is a strategy game, but it has fierce competition in it, because there's an ongoing race to see whose civilization will be on top at the end. And I think this is how the game actually functions. I think that in real, this game has become so popular because it mimics real life on such a grand scale. Like I said before about, the personality traits about people wanting to be in control and wanting to create things and wanting to do these things without the responsibility of actually having to maintain these things in real life. Many people have seen in real life how if you have a job, everyone wants to have a say-so in the job, but no one actually wants the responsibility of supervising groups of people, and also the consequences when things go wrong, because when things go wrong, it falls back on the person at the top. And so that's what gaming does, and that's what Civilization does. It gives us an opportunity to take control of these certain areas, to exert authority in these certain areas, in a playful atmosphere, and also allowing many people to escape from the realities of their actual situation. And that is Civilization Part 4.